Hi, out there in the world of living land. It is January, the 20. Took my calendar down. I put February up today. It's January 27th, and we had a weird night last night. It was really windy here in Sacramento, and so a lot of us lost power. A lot of us lost internet. So I couldn't jump on a call with my students and teach. So this afternoon I'm going to do some individual tutoring when we have power. So I had free time, and I don't do this very often, so I came up with something that I wish I could do. And what that is advice to my former self, the teacher that I started out to be in 1994. So I don't know, 27 years ago-ish, give or take a year of maternity leave in there, I don't know. So I was thinking, gosh, if I could have that conversation with myself, what would be some of the things I'd say? And not in any particular order, but I think that one of the things I really wish I would have done is to keep every single year the class picture of that group. And not for the reasons you might think, because you think, oh, you want to track those kids and see how they're doing. It really is more of, wow, I taught all those kids, right? I can do the math on that. I can multiply 27 times 30 kids. That's a lot of kids. And then of course, if you're a high school teacher, the number just metastasizes, right? But that's not the point. The point is that entire year, those 9 months, you were with those children for 6.5 hours a day. You know them. And beyond that, if you've taught at some of the schools I've taught at 5 schools in my career, you know the parents too. So it's a lot of relationships. And sometimes you have the same kids and the same family, but I really wish I would have kept those class pictures. I probably have half. I have a binder, and about, 8 years ago, I started thinking, I should save these, right? And in fact, one year, oh my God, this is great. One year, my class picture was taken with the substitute. She was a regular substitute at our school, in her defense. I was at the Boston Marathon doing that. It was in April. The pictures were on a Monday. And I came back 2 weeks later, get the class pictures, and I'm sorting through, handing them out to kids, and I realized I don't remember taking this. I wasn't here. So note to, if you're a substitute and you're watching this, maybe you want to step out of that class picture. I'm just going to tell you. Anyway, save those class pictures. I'd have 27. Actually 26. We didn't take a class picture this year. I took one on Zoom though. Anyway, second thing I would tell myself is that your children, if you've made children yourself, you and your spouse, partner, whatever you have out there, they come first. That means that if your child is sick, they need you. And yeah, they might, your husband or a partner might work out just fine, but I tell you what, usually they want mama. And if they have 2 mamas, then you have to choose. But yeah, take that time off when your kid needs you. My kids were not very sick at all. I breastfed all 3 of them, which is, I think, probably helped. But when your kid needs you, they need you. I took a day off last week to drive my daughter to college. You do that. My husband and I both went together. You need to do that. They might need you for other things, but they come first. You've got a soccer game, and it starts at 4 or 3:30. You can't leave school early, but you can sure leave when the bell rings and bring your stuff with you. Do that. Don't stick around and work with a student who needs help. That's not your hours, and your parents will understand that. Those aren't the contracted hours. You're only your kids for a certain amount of time, and you sacrifice a lot already as a teacher, financially, emotionally, just everything. So your kids come first. Right there. Those 3 kids right there. Still have one at home, which is kind of nice. He's a junior this year. But my oldest son is, in graduate school for physical therapy. My middle child just, started her excitement out there in Chico. So this time goes quickly. Anyway, and you have those vacations with them, but your kids come first. Again, there's not one parent out there that's going to say, oh, well, she spends all the time with her children. No, they don't, because they're parents too. And always remember this. Most parents aren't teachers, but most teachers are parents. So they should understand. All right, so that's the second thing. And I didn't have kids when I first started teaching. I was newly married and, so those first couple of years were the exception because I lived in my classroom. Anyway. Okay, so number 3, and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings out there, those of you excited teachers, but it's not the Heidi show. It's not the you show. It's not all about you. When your parents come to you concerned about something, you don't have to think, oh, maybe they don't like me. Who cares? Who cares? I know that's a big deal, especially if you're a middle child like me. Oh, God. Truth of the matter is, you're here to do a job. You've been hired to do a job. The parents in your classroom are just that you'll do the job. Do the job, whatever that means. And the credit or glory doesn't need to go to anybody. It just needs to work. It needs to happen the way it should happen, and it doesn't. It doesn't need to all look back on you. And I think coming off of the heels of our last administration here, with ego getting in the way of people's jobs and things, you just don't want to do that. And I've done that before. I think I have. Looking back, I think there were times when I don't know. I just internalized things so much that it didn't really matter that the lesson was good, but did it look good, right? Or does the classroom look good because it reflects on me? Teaching is very performative, it's very isolating, and it's very personal. And so I think we have a tendency, collectively anyway, to have it be about us. But the truth of the matter is, it's really about the process. It's about the child, it's about the school, the community, it's about the families that need you for things. So yeah, your classroom should look nice. It shouldn't be your decorations that you think are pretty, or your font that's neat but confuses kids because you have an uppercase letter and a lowercase letter at those fonts are real nice, but if they confuse whether the kids right, but it makes you look good in your classroom, rethink that. So make sure that your classroom is set up to where kids are going to succeed and feel good about learning, because they're going to carry that out into what they do. And you know something? I've had 3 kids already come back and say, hey, guess what, Heidi, or Mrs. Witter, depending on where I was teaching, I'm getting my teacher credential. Wonderful. And they don't need to say, it's because you were the best teacher in the world. No. It's because they felt good about learning, whether it was in this classroom or another classroom or in high school. So they walked away from education feeling like, I want more of that. I want to be part of that. So, we teach in whispers. We don't shout. You learn where you live. That's the bottom line. Okay, what's the other thing? Okay, so the last 2 things, because there's 5. The last 2 things. Number 1, writing is hard. It is harder than you think. And so when you set out to teach writing, consider